The free market is on trial, and we have to be able to defend it. So tonight, we're going to do just that. Paul Carey, he is a research associate at Corpus Christi College in Cambridge. Just finished his fellowship at Cambridge at the Wolf Institute. Also joining us is Jennifer Smith. She's the Associate Professor of Economics at Loras College, and Michael Adams, Associate Professor of Sociology and Criminal Justice at the University of North Carolina in Wilmington. How are you guys?
Doing great.
Okay, I'm going for just a list of things that I think, as a dad, I want to be able to defend it to my kids. And here, my theory is you guys are sitting in college, and they're getting indoctrinated every day, and usually there will be one thing that will stick in somebody's head that a professor said, and it'll be that moment of doubt, and they'll be like, well, but I don't know about that. Then they'll come home, and they'll spring that one on you. You won't be able to answer it as a parent, and they're done. Because now mom and dad are stupid, they don't understand. Right. The discussion in all of our homes is going to be Marxism and capitalism. So let's start there. Defend capitalism. Who wants to start? Mike?
Well, I'll start. First of all, if I can use the blackboard, I'm a professor, so...
Here, this is kind of a...
That's the way it works, basically. I learned this from Glenn Beck. So, at any rate, first of all, you need to come up with creative ways to explain what is the difference between communism and capitalism, basically. And I'll tell you, there are a lot of different ways to do that, but I came up with, if I can brag on one little smart satirical column that I wrote in my career, I've written over 700 columns. But one, I think, really captured the essence of what is the problem with socialism and why it doesn't work. I was inspired after Barack Obama was elected as President of the United States of America. And believe it or not, I was a lot of other things. At first I was nauseated, but after that I was, as a matter of fact, inspired. And I came up with this idea to try and illustrate to my students what exactly is wrong with socialism, why doesn't it work, and why does capitalism work. And it was a satirical essay that I wrote that first I emailed to the students and then I published it in my column. It's called My New Spread the Wealth Grading Policy. And I think this really explains now, because you can see exactly what direction this is going in. I start out every semester by sending, obviously, a syllabus to them, and I lay out the different possibilities for them. I tell them that they can make an A, B, C, D, or F, and that I use a 10-point distribution, meaning that they have to have 90% average on all of their tests in order to get an A, 60% to get a D, so on and so forth. I have to keep it at 10% because none of them, it's a sociology department, none of them have taken a math course. So at any rate, I keep it very simple. And what I did that was different during the spring semester of 2009 was that just a few weeks into the semester, after we had our first exam, I wrote them and I said, you know, I've really been thinking about this for a long time. And I think it's really time that we sort of modify what we've been doing. And I realize, you know, we're in the middle of the semester, not quite the middle of the semester, but it's already started. But I think, since I'm the one in charge, basically, I'm the dictator, that I want to change this scenario a little bit. Because I noticed on the first examination, some of you got A's. And there are about usually about 5 students will get an A in a class of about 30 or so. And of course, we'll have about 5 or so who actually make F's. And I said, you know, that's not fair, because those individuals who got A's have all of these surplus points that they really don't need. Because the University of North Carolina at Wilmington only requires a 2.0 grade point average in order to graduate. And usually it takes the students just about 5 years to get up to that level. But at any rate, the university's near the beach, so you understand. So I told them that what we want to do is to take those extra points from those who got A's and basically redistribute them and give them to those poor, unfortunate people who don't have enough. Because we all know, of course, at a secular university that if you don't have enough, it's no fault of your own. It's the result of an oppressive system. So I said, we are going to take away 10 points from the A's, give them to the people with the F's, and now we have a more equal distribution with only 3 possibilities, B, C, and D. But I want all of you to know that I reserve the right, because I am the dictator. At some point during the course of the semester, I may decide that while we've moved in the proper direction of equality, if equality really is the goal, then we have to make a movement towards total equality. And so maybe after that second examination, I'm going to have to take a look at the average score on exam number 1 and exam number 2 And if anyone has a B, then I might have to take 10 points off of that and give it to the people who have D's so that everyone has a C. What do we call the C? You can call it communism or call it collectivism. And what it really does, this illustration in this example, I think, really shows what exactly is wrong with socialism and what exactly is right with capitalism. Capitalism is simply consistent with human nature. We have a desire as fallen beings to compete with one another. And once you set up a fair system and you set up a system where people are allowed to compete, which is consistent with their human nature, what happens? You see that people begin to produce, and it raises the overall level of the standard of living, basically, in society. And so what I do with this, I take this essay out on the road. I give speeches on college campuses all the time. Some of you guys are from UMass Amherst. Raise your hand. The local Communist Party has been out to protest me several times at Amherst. People have been arrested. People have screamed. But one thing I like to do, and it's fantastic. I love it, by the way. I'm a community disorganizer. I come in and just shake things up just a little bit, and it's fantastic. What I love about it, though, is that this really illustrates what is wrong. And what is wrong with socialism. I actually take this essay and this example in a speech I give on college campuses called Economic and Cultural Marxism. And when I go to the Q&A, I don't sit back and allow the students to ask me questions. I actually ask them questions. And the first question I ask is, what is wrong with my new spread the wealth grading policy? It's simple. If everyone is guaranteed, no matter what effort they put forth, to get a C, then no one will do well. No one will run a spell checker on a term paper. No one will study for an exam. And the result is that the quality of the academic work product will go down very substantially. So I ask that question, and most of the students understand what is the problem with the policy. But then I ask the follow-up question. And the follow-up question is this. If my new spread the wealth grading policy would lower the academic work product, then how could it be possible for anything but a lower standard of living in America to result from a spread the wealth economic policy? And essentially, that is what is at the core with the problems that we experience when we try to dabble in socialism. We're going against our nature as human beings. That's the reason why it doesn't work. And, you know, I gave a speech about this in Santa Barbara to members of the Young American Foundation, students, leaders, and many of them have gone on campus and started petitions to redistribute GPAs on their campus. And guess what? You have socialists, people walking around with Che Guevara t-shirts, but none of them will sign the petition because it causes them to think about their own hypocrisy. And I think that's one good way of illustrating how, guess what? It's never going to work. It's not consistent with our nature.